guys, it's your girl from Philly. Welcome to another episode of Handcrafted Wines, where we make great wine from home the fun and easy way. Before we get started, please remember to like, share, subscribe, and click that notification bell so you don't miss any episodes. Today's episode, we're going to be making blueberry wine, and our ingredients are 4 pounds of frozen wild blueberries, 3.5 cups of sugar, pectic enzyme to break down the fruit walls in our blueberries, acid blend for our proper acid balance, our dynamic duo, which is our yeast nutrient and our yeast energizer. Of course, we'll be using Tannin. And for today, our yeast is Red Star Premier Classique, my go-to yeast. So let's get started. Now to begin, I'm going to sanitize my fermentation jar. It's clean, but it's been some while. It's been sitting on the shelf for a few weeks. So make sure that it's sanitized. And I'm going to add our sugar. Now, you know, typically I use between 2.5 to 3.5 cups of sugar. There's a reason why I want to use 3.5 cups of sugar in my blueberry wine. I'd like to have some residual sweetness after it has fermented, as well as make sure that I get the maximum amount of alcohol. And we know Premier Classique will give you up to 15% ABV, and that's what we're going for today. So I'm going to use some boiled water, some boiling hot water, to dissolve our sugar. And that should be enough because we have a lot of blueberries today. Now, blueberry wine, you know, I make country wines, which means that I basically make fruit wines, herb wines, anything other than traditional grape wines. But blueberry wine is one of those wines that is more closely related to a regular red wine. As a matter of fact, when I follow this recipe, the results will be very similar to a Taylor port. Okay. I still see a lot of crystals. Yeah, there's still quite a bit in the bottom. That looks about good. And we're going to add our straining bag. I'll give this a blitz as well. This is a new bag and it's been washed in Campden, but again, it's set for a couple of weeks. It's actually been a couple of weeks since I filmed. It's summertime. I was enjoying myself. Okay. Now, when it comes to making wine at home, blueberry is a great starter wine just because it ferments so easily. I don't know if you can see this, but these are wild blueberries, which means that they're smaller than regular blueberries. But I do have some regular blueberries at the bottom of the bowl as well. So, yep, there's some regular blueberries in this scoop. The bag that I purchased was a 3-pound bag, so I had to supplement it with some additional blueberries. But like I said, this is such an easy wine to ferment. I'm not even going to blitz it to break down the cell walls because, believe it or not, the skins in blueberries break down very easily. Oh, look at this dark, rich purple we're getting. About 5 years back, I had gotten hold of I want to say 20 pounds of blueberries, frozen blueberries. It was the IQF bags, the big bags of blueberries. So I used a couple 5-gallon fermenters and had made the most amazing, amazing blueberry wine. And I know I say this is my favorite, that's my favorite, but blueberry actually is one of my favorites. It just it goes well with everything. This is an excellent wine for red meat. Red meat, any type of I always say barbecue, but you know I love barbecue. But it goes fantastic with barbecue. It goes fantastic with any type of tomato based product, just because it has a lot of tannin in it naturally, even though we're adding some tannin, and it's a very full bodied wine. It's a lot of juice in this. We're about halfway now. I'm trying my best not to spill it, you see me? Soon we'll be able to just pour what's in the bottom into the fermenter. Now, hopefully we have a really good hydrometer reading. We should, because without any question, I used the whole 3.5 cups. So we should have a good reading. And I'd like this to be sweet without having to back sweeten it, but if I do, it's no big deal. I'm gonna try pouring what we have in here. That's a lot of juice. We won't have to use much water. We're almost there, guys. This color is so rich and pretty. I'm really hoping to retain this gorgeous color after the fermentation. Okay, that's about all of our blueberries. And the fermentation bag is pretty full. Now I'm going to add some more water. Look at that. It's a pretty full bag, but again, it's really going to break down in here. And I'm not really worried about the fruit leaching out into the batch, but blueberries do have little seeds, so just to save time and energy, I'd rather make sure it's sealed very, very well. Oh, I'm missing a string. There we go. Okay. Just want to press that down into the sugar a little bit. Now, there is a local blueberry farm, and I am going to probably make a visit to them and get some fresh blueberries, and maybe we can see later what the difference is. Oh, I was about to pick up hot water. We don't need hot water any longer. What we need is room temperature water, and kind of see what the difference is between frozen blueberries and fresh blueberries. I'm going to go about that full. Yeah, that's about enough. Make sure all the sugar is incorporated with our water and our blueberry juice. That's excellent. Okay, so now it's time for us to take our hydrometer reading. And I wonder what it's going to be. I'm going to say it might be about 1.110, but we'll see. If it's more, I'll be happy because that just means we'll have a little bit more sweetness. It won't change the ABV just because 15 is about as far as this yeast can go. And just looking at it, it's pretty viscous. So I think we're going to have a pretty decent reading. We're almost there, guys. And 250 milliliters on the dot. I'm going to put my turkey baster in the bowl just so it doesn't stain my towel. And let's take our reading. Okay. So it's a little higher than I thought it would be, but that's okay. Again, we're going for a sweet red wine. There we go. So we're at 1.225, which is pretty high. And I'm going to see what the what Brewer's friend. Well, let me just check the hydrometer and see what the percentage it says it would be. So based upon that reading, it says it should be about 16%, but we know it won't be 16%. We know we're going to ferment to about 15%, and then the rest will be sweetness. I'm going to brewersfriend.com, and I'm putting in our initial gravity of 1.225. Let me read this again because that doesn't come out right. 1.125. 1.225 would have given us 30%. We know that's not right. 1.125. So according to brewersfriend.com, 1.125 would get us about 17.72% if we were using a high percentage yeast, but we're not. We're using Premier Classique, which stops at about 15%. If the yeast are really happy and they can still survive after we have 15% alcohol, they may go over a little bit, but not very much more. That's about what we're going to have. And I'm satisfied with that. My goal is not to back sweeten this batch. Okay, now we're going to add our additives. We have our pectic enzyme, which is going to do a great job in this batch. Now, some people say to add pectic enzyme about 24 hours prior. And I've heard some reports that tannin actually reduces the effectivity of pectic enzyme. I've never encountered that, so I've never put them in at a separate time. But maybe we'll try that just to test that theory. Our acid blend. The dynamic duo, which is our yeast nutrient and our yeast energizer. And remember, guys, we use about a half a teaspoon of everything except yeast nutrient. For yeast nutrient, we use a full teaspoon. And then finally, our tannin. I'm not using a full half teaspoon of tannin today just because blueberries have a lot of tannin already. And I want to taste the blueberries and not so much of the tannic feeling in the back. So I'm just going to add a little bit of water to dilute it. Where's my dirty stirrer? There we go. Yeah, this is about a quarter teaspoon of tannin. Oh, we need a little bit more water. See how it is? It always fools me. It looked like it was completely dissolved. A little bit more water. And let's keep going. Since it's such a little amount, I definitely want to get all of it. Okay. And I did see that the pectic enzyme kind of stuck to the jar a little bit. Now, blueberry wine is one of those wines that you can definitely drink new. So I can drink some of this. I can make a bottle and drink some of this, I would say, by the end of this summer. But you can also let this age, and it will age very, very well. It'll pick up some complex flavors and aroma, but it will age fantastic. Okay, so we have our entire batch of blueberry wine together. The only thing we need to add now is our Premier Classique yeast. And the yeast love blueberries. Push the bag down a little bit. Lately, my batches have been, they'll begin fermenting in just in a few hours. I'm making wine in the same room each time, so I think it's working out good. Because what happens is you'll end up getting a lot of yeast in the atmosphere. So when you go to make wine, it's kind of complementing the yeast you're applying to your wine. Okay, now we're going to add our airlock. You know what? I'm going to spray this. I didn't spray it. But again, just like the jar, it's been sitting around a little bit, even though it's clean. And that's our lid with our drill hole and our grommet in it. Now we're going to add our star sand to our airlock. I see a lot of activity already. That's interesting. We want to fill this to the maximum fill line. Yeah, this should be a very successful batch. And blueberries are very temperate too. You don't really have to worry about crazy overactivity. They ferment very well, but there's not a lot of pectin in the blueberry, so you're not going to see it going everywhere. It's actually going to be very, very calm. It'll ferment well, but it won't be a mess. So I'm seeing that, I don't know if you guys can see that. Yeah, I'm seeing that white foamy line right there, which means the yeast have already started hydrating and they're starting to eat the sugars. So again, we'll have wine in about 2 weeks. I'll be checking this and stirring this daily for about 2 weeks. It will be completely fermented in about 3 months. So primary and secondary fermentation. It will be wine in about 6 months, and it will be great wine in about 12 months. We're going to start this off in the first 2 months. So after the primary fermentation, there will be, before I go into secondary or right after secondary, I will be drinking some of this wine. And then the rest I may save until next year so we can see how it goes. And again, I'm going to get some fresh blueberries and do 4 pounds of fresh blueberries. For those, I will have to break them down just because they haven't been frozen previously. But for the frozen blueberries, we should be fine. So that's it for our blueberry wine. Thank you again for joining me today. Remember to like, share, subscribe, comment if you'd like, and make your own wine. The description for everything that I use except the fruit will be in the descriptions, and you could always purchase it. When you do purchase on Amazon, I get an itty bitty commission, so I appreciate it if you do. And other than that, you have a fantastic day. Thank you for joining me. Bye bye.